Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Germany panel during today's summit. Happy to have all of you here. My name is Lars Gutheil. I'm representing the German-Polish Chamber of Industry and Commerce, located in Warsaw. We are a bilateral network of approximately 1,000 companies from both countries, ranging from very small to very big multinational enterprises. So if you are looking for the big German brands, you would have them, of course, in our network, but also lots of small and medium-sized, also service suppliers, and also a lot of companies from the IT sector. The goal of AHK is to match companies, to look for business partners, and to help you enter the German market. That includes also market research and the possibility to bring you in touch with potential clients in Germany. When we look at the German market at the moment, well, of course, important to realize that Germany is not all about Siemens, Bosch, and Lufthansa, but that 99% of the German market is actually in the hands of small and medium-sized, often family-run businesses, and they also are responsible for 70% of all jobs in Germany. So when you deal with German companies, you would rather deal with middle-sized companies, often quite conservatively run, but world market leaders, or at least European market leaders in many cases. Germany is renowned for the hidden champions. It has 1,200 of them. That's 4 times more than the United States. So you will have to deal with companies which are very innovative when it comes to the products and services, but maybe in the management still quite conservative and rather reluctant to change anything in their processes and with their partners. This is very important to know when you enter Germany. Germany is by far, of course, the biggest economy in Europe, with almost $4 trillion GDP. And the IT market in Germany has been growing rapidly in recent years, although not as rapidly as in some other countries. But the yearly turnover of hardware, software, and IT services altogether is approximately 95 billion euros. In the Digital Readiness Index, Germany ranks on number 14. That shows that there's still some potential in terms of technological infrastructure. Germany is still only a midfielder. But as we have seen in Corona times, and I would like to very shortly give a citation of the CEO Germany of Cisco, Uwe Peter. Well, he said, whenever it counts, Germany can do digitalization also at light speed, and that has shown in the last months. So there is still room for surprise sometimes. And I think Corona has really opened up new chances in Germany. So it's a very good moment for us to do this talk today, especially in the SME sector. Many companies are now restructuring their business models, their processes, their online marketing, their internal communication. 13% of these companies say that their business structures are in danger due to the pandemic, and they have to be, and they need to redevelop their structures digitally. There's a lack of know-how in many cases. There's also a lack of time. So that gives chances for service suppliers, and that's what we would like to talk about. And I would like to introduce our panel here. I think it's a great and very interesting panel that we can offer to you today. So if I start on the upper left side, Artur Tomys, he's the CEO of Equiqo, a Polish IT solution supplier, existing since, I think, 2015. I hope I don't say it wrong, Artur.
16.
Or 16, and you are targeting basically German companies. All your clients are German companies. You have offices in Wrocław, in Rzeszów, and also in Berlin. And you're going to tell us more about what you do in a moment. But I think you can give a brilliant example for experiences with the German market, being a company that originated in the CEE countries. Then there is Oliver Trier, native German, but already for quite a while living in the Netherlands. Hele goeiemorgen. You are located in Hilversum, that's close to Amsterdam. And you have been active for a couple of years as Director Global Innovation for the Dutch food giant Friesland Campina, everything with milk products. And you have been leading a team globally, working across all functions and divisions of the company, trying to lead digital change and digital processes in this company. Earlier this year, you joined Dutch consultancy, digital consultancy, Itility, where you are now the director. So a great way to also have a German here who looks at Germany from the outside. And this is an interesting approach, as you also know other Western European markets. And you can give a very interesting mix, I think, of impressions also on Germany, being somebody who is actually not living in Germany, not working in Germany. And then, of course, Thomas Duschek, who is the president of the board at SAP Poland. And Thomas has been working in Stuttgart until a couple of months ago. You were responsible for the sales to manufacturing industry for SAP. And SAP, of course, I don't need to introduce. It's the global market leader on the field of business software, and also the most valuable brand in Europe. So whatever you do with accounting, controlling, distribution, storage, you would need to use, or you can at least use, software from SAP. You told me before this talk, we are not a German company. SAP Poland is a Polish company with German roots. We see ourselves very much located in Poland, and maybe you can elaborate a bit more later. I would first like to give the floor to Oliver, who would give us a short presentation about what can go wrong when you approach companies being a digital service supplier out of the perspective that you had yourself working for Friesland Campina, for a big company. So the floor is yours, Oliver.
Thank you, Lars. I hope you can see my presentation. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to quickly take you through my learnings of 5 years being on the client side that has to digitize, because I strongly believe there's a lot of, money to be made to support those customers, but also there's an urgent need on that side in consumer goods, but also in other industries to really digitize. And Corona has shown us again that you don't have the luxury to be slow. And I think the winners out of the Corona period will be those companies that again show that they are fast in decision making, and even better, those that are basing their decisions on data. So therefore, what I'd like to do is to help you to not have to wait 5 years and make the same learnings that I did, but actually help you to do them faster. So I'd like to quickly take you into what is the top of mind at CPG leaders. And that is for small and for large companies the same, I saw in my conversations. Help you what actually reality is in consumer goods in terms of the market, how you drive brand growth, and where I see the digitization priorities. So let's look at the typical leaders and what they have in mind on a daily basis. And I have to tell you, I ran a strategy project where we said, what is the digital strategy of our company? What are others doing? We have thousands of ideas. And then we hit the management teams in markets and globally. And this is really what most companies, people are busy with. It's this month, it's my numbers, it's shit, I did something bad. Will they figure it out? How can I fix this? Why are we doing this again? The last thing they have is brain capacity for what can we do in this digital world. It really is this end of month quality product it's 99% is problems of yesterday. And of course, most of the people are working on how do I get promoted out of this problem here. So this is the capacity, what people are dealing with every day. And then you have to contact them to say, we have an opportunity. We want to help you. And then the reality in the market is, so I got contacted, I think, on a daily basis about, we are a service provider in VR, AR. We are building apps. We are building all kinds of great consumer solutions. We want to talk about how you can reach consumer groups. and they're thinking about a lot about the hypes in the market. And I just want to show you that quickly. As a established brand, and you see this in this slide. So I took Google Trends and milk and vegan, and to the extent to which people are talking about these elements. And you see that people are really talking extensively about vegan. And I just see, I switched it, sorry. The blue one is actually vegan and the red one is milk. So what you see here is that people are talking more about vegan than they're talking about milk. But if you look at the size of the market, and if you look at the CAGR of the market, you see that actually the alternatives are still a small size, but the traditional market also is growing. So yes, we are talking extensively about what is coming, but as a company, my revenue and my margin comes out of what is established. So this is where I have my mind. And then if you apply how brands make their money, and that was a realization for me as well, because I grew up in CRM and building customer loyalty and consumer retention. We saw in research, and this is from Coca-Cola, that 70% of all the purchases that consumers do are by people who buy maximum 5 times Coca-Cola a year. So if I would like to focus on building apps or all kinds of highly expensive campaigns to reach a few people, I would target the right side. But their relative add-on when they buy more is very little. So what you see consumer goods companies focusing on is what we call here non-buyers and light buyers. Because if I get those 70% to buy 1 or 2 times extra, you can imagine the volume add, the value add that this produces is extensive. Yeah? So this is the mindset of the commercial people in consumer goods. On the one side, hype is nice, but I need to be where my money is. I need to be where my consumers are today because they keep usually buying what they bought. And I need to drive penetration, reach people who never bought me, and get those light buyers buy a little more. And I don't reach them by apps. I don't reach them by anything highly fancy that only targets a few. Think about the number of apps you have of your favorite brands on your phone. I doubt it's more than one. So the game that we play in consumer goods is driving mental availability and reaching those light and non-buyers by continuous campaigns across all possible channels. That's one, but it means it's not targeted. You see companies like Procter, they even reduce their number of targeted advertisement. And the other most important element is to be there. If I want to buy Chocomel, which is one of the rising brands in Germany, and I'm at a gas station, and I feel like Chocomel, it should be there. If I am somewhere in a cinema and I want to buy something, and I relate something, a product, to that need that I have about sweetness and refreshment, and that brand is not there, I miss an opportunity. So that is mental and physical availability. I urge you to read the book, How Brands Grow, if you want to play in that industry. And then to close it, what I did is I brought all that together in a model, which I called basically the How Brands Grow CPG Tech Planning Canvas. Nice word, but it's really about is consumers continuously buy their key consumer goods products. So it's consideration, buying, using, and this continuous drive for mental availability, physical availability, and product usage. You as a company need to be aware that it really, as consumer goods companies, we are focusing today on media, effective media usage, seeing where can we still reach people we have not reached, and where are light buyers that we can motivate more. Typically, it's closer to the point of purchase. So retail stores, all kinds of retailers, e-tailers, outlets like gas stations I talked about. And we need to make sure that our product information is there, that we are easy to deal with, and that they have the information they need about our products. Think about allergies, think about product shots. That we know where our products are on shelf and where people buy these kind of products, but we are not on shelf. Untapped opportunity. This is all about data. Field sales, to be in stores and not count things, but take a picture of the shelf and know where your product is. integration with your retail partners, having all the information out there about where something is bought. So what you see is all that is about integration with B2B partners to gain data and to drive the data to insights to action loop that needs to be. So as a consumer goods company, I want to make sure, and my time is up, so I need to close. We need to make sure that we have the data out there and that we can utilize the data directly to take action. And today the reality is that most companies have data about what is happening, but they don't know what action should come out of that. And this is really where, as service providers, you can do a lot. And as I said before, it is not about the consumer, because you need to get the light users to really create impact. And if you'd like to talk more about that, feel free to reach out, take your smartphone, scan this code, and then send me a link. And I'm happy to talk more, because I'm really passionate about this industry. I've seen it in Germany. I've seen it with small and large brands. There's a lot you can do to help this industry to become faster and better. That's it.
Thank you very much, Oliver. And I think that was a very interesting first step into our meeting today, and a very nice insight into the view of somebody who is approached by potential partners in the service field, but not in the right way. Talking about your experience, has the mindset of suppliers changed, or are they now getting better in forecasting the mindset of potential clients and buyers, especially when it comes to CEE companies? Because I think they're still struggling a lot when they try to reach a Western market, be it the Netherlands, be it Germany, and also suffer a little bit, maybe still from reputation issues. So what is your experience with that, and what would you recommend?
I think so I was approached a lot by CEE companies, CEE companies, with all kinds of services, but not related to my industry, or not related to the issues we are working with. I think a lot can be done to pre-think what is the reality in the market, and to kind of develop easy solutions, because what you have is that the majority of those companies, they don't have really the time. The people in the company, especially in IT, they don't have the time and the luxury to develop new solutions with somebody that doesn't have anything. They don't want to educate anybody in the industry. So I think it's good to focus on certain industries, make up your mind, and then target those, rather than going broad and then trying to market all kinds of VA, AR solutions broadly across all industries. The second thing is, so we worked a lot with, I would say, body shopping in Eastern Europe, which is great to work with different service providers for Salesforce integration, for some SAP work, for some templating, data science. That's all great. But I think as a service provider, think about the services, and especially in the data area, in the business process management, so between system of record, system of experience. There's so much untapped opportunity. And a last example I'd like to give, few companies know how many emails and phone calls people do on a daily basis to actually manage anything between their ERP system and their customer. Because not everything is actually managed through systems. A lot is still with this traditional. And what we did is we said we counted the number of emails on certain processes, the number of phone calls going out to identify the opportunity. And if you just take that area, there's a massive amount of services that you can sell. You just need to find the right going in, and the right going in is if you are aware of what's going on in this industry.
Thank you. What I would like to add is everybody who is listening and who has a question to one of our speakers, please feel free to put the question into the chat, and we will try to answer all questions later today. So feel free to put your question in, to fill it in, and we will come back to that in a moment. Thomas, you have heard Oliver. Would be interesting to hear your point of view on how CEE companies approach maybe big German companies. You have also personal experience with Lidl, with Kaufland. So I think you have a wide range of experience with that. Would you agree with what you have heard? Do you have a different view on it?
No, I agree with what Oliver said, and it's a very, very interesting time we live in at the moment, because many of the ideas, many of the behavior, the organizational competencies are based on, I would say, past customer behavior. So how did the markets react? And right now, or maybe in the last 6 months, we've seen a total disruption of not only the supply side, because the travels to Asia, all of the supply chains were broken, but also the demand side, because people were not able to go out and go shopping and behave like they normally do. And the real question now is, how do I capture everything that is going on in the world when I have zero to very low or only very low visibility into how my business will work in the next week or even in the next month. So this is really a very, very interesting and a very sophisticated topic. And Oliver brought up another very interesting point, and this is around experience. And he's absolutely right that there is an untapped, I would say, very, very preliminary only area that we are addressing at the moment in terms of digital services. And it's the area of experience. So a lot has been done in the IT sector surrounding this system of record that Oliver talked about. And then if you go to the next stage and you have the system of experience, you really address the question of why is something happening? The system of record is ideal, and this is the DNA of our company, SAP, is to really capture what is going on in the company, what is going on the supply side, what is going on the customer side. But it doesn't answer the question, why is it happening? So what is happening with the suppliers? What are the customers now thinking? And this is really something, especially in times like this, that is of paramount importance, because if I know and if I can capture the behavior, the changing behavior and changing expectations of my clients, as well as what my suppliers are doing, I'm more able, or I'm actually better able to change the way I organize my organization. I invest into the right digital services. So I think the area of experience management is probably the area that will be, together with customer experience, one of the most growing areas in the next years.
Thomas, you have been working with manufacturing companies a lot, and so would be interesting to hear from your point of view what has changed in the last years, the approach when it comes to digitization, and also what did you encounter this year when Corona started? What has happened in Germany? How would you describe the changes?
Yeah, I mean, the changes are profound. Manufacturing companies in Germany, especially the smaller ones, but not only the smaller ones, are really dependent on a global supply chain. And the question now is for these companies is not only to organize these supply chains in the most efficient, cost-effective way, but to think about resiliency, meaning how do I set up these supply chains in the future so that in case 1, 2 suppliers break out because they are not able to deliver, how do I make those supply chains more resilient? And this is definitely something that is very, very important at the moment. But if I maybe start to compare a little bit the German market to the Polish market, and I've been working most of my life on the German market and only very recently active here on the Polish market, then I start to see some differences. And what I hear from my colleagues here in Poland is that the market in Poland is more similar to a market in the Czech Republic or Slovakia than it is to the German market. And I would just like to point out some of the differences I see. The German market or the manufacturing sector, because you asked me about the manufacturing sector, I would say the adoption of digital services is much more progressed. So I would say in terms of years, probably 3 or 4 years ahead. And if I talk about digital services, I mean not only cloud services, the adoption of cloud services, but also in terms of utilizing technology for products that they develop and they sell by themselves. So how do I digitalize the manufacturing processes and digitalize the products and services that I am selling as a manufacturing company to the market? And I think that the level of sophistication on the German market is quite high. And if I were to be a CEE digital company, then I would take this into account if I would address a German manufacturing company, that the level of sophistication at this point is quite high at the moment. Also, in terms of adoption, like technologies of 5G in manufacturing plants or in transportation. So this is one of the I would say differences that I can see. The other difference in terms of purchasing. So if I were to address manufacturing companies in Germany, I do see that there's a more decentralized decision-making process of companies in Germany. And these are big companies as well as small companies. There's no real difference there on average, I would say. And meaning that the decision-making process is more decentralized. So it's more a bottom-up approach in terms of decision-making when companies choose a new technology they want to adopt. And probably also the third difference here is that budgets seem to be more decentralized than on average in larger companies in Poland, more decentralized, and the budgets are more in the area of lines of business than in I would say a centralized budget approach.
Thank you. Artur, that's maybe the word for you, because you come from exactly the other side, and it's very interesting, I think, to hear your story, why exactly you focused on the German market right from the start, and how you could be so successful. I mean, you do a lot of services, if I understand it right. You offer tailored IT teams for outsourcing. You have software that you can build. You also do consultancy, but everything with German clients. So would you underline what you have heard? We have heard it's maybe less hierarchic, but it's also quite sophisticated. Germans have this reputation to also accept only perfection, that you have to know the service that you offer perfectly. You will get complicated questions. They will not accept that you leave anything open. How do you do it? What is your experience?
Yes, so basically that's true. Germans expect perfection all the time. And I believe, so we are a Polish company, and we offer highest quality developers from Poland and highest quality IT solutions from Poland. And why to Germany? Because of the demand. So that's the answer, honestly. So right now you have over more or less 55,000 openings just in IT regarding job. So that shows you how the demand in Germany, how big is the demand. It's much higher than the supply. And when I graduated, I was studying in Germany, in Leipzig. Many entrepreneurs, they said that the biggest pain are developers and IT capacities. And then I started to think how to connect it. As in Poland, you have very well educated professionals, and I personally had an access to IT talents. Then I just wanted to build the bridge between Poland and Germany. Also, I'm from Wrocław to Breslau, so not too far away to Leipzig, to Berlin, to Dresden. And yes, that was our idea. So, and I founded a company in 2016 with 3 friends from Berlin. They were already successful managers, entrepreneurs. They had one of the best startups from Berlin. So that was our first e-commerce client. And yes, we are growing. We are over 40 right now. We are close to 40 right now. We'll double the size of the company next year. That's the plan. And we work mostly with dynamic startups, which means dynamic startups which are scaling, which are well founded in terms of finance. So it's also quite demanding market, because startups are young, are dynamic, are growing fast, very flat hierarchies, so kind of chaotic companies. The strategy is changing every quarter. The decisions are changing each week, honestly. So yes, that's my world. And the answer is, in the end, because of the huge demand in Germany.
So what are the do's and don'ts in Germany, if we come to that? What is your experience? What did you do wrong? Talking about the fuck-ups, if we can say that. What went wrong? What is good?
Well, in the beginning, what we did wrong, so we started with outsourcing. So I believe companies, managers, they have a quite bad picture of outsourcing, and they don't understand outsourcing in the end. And outsourcing is about trust, because in the end you give part of your business to an external player, to an external part. So that was our first lesson, that outsourcing is about trust, and trust you earn with time always. So we have a single client from cold mailing or cold calling. So all of them, they know me, or they know my co-founders, or right now we have quite good reputation on the market, so they approach us. And the biggest issue in the beginning was communication. So we wanted to be a 100% remote company. And we have seen that without on-site onboarding, it will not work. So the first thing what we started to do, we started to send our guys, our developers to our clients for a couple of days, couple of weeks, even couple of months. So that's my advice, and that's what we do until today. So what are the what other points I can mention? Why the clients like us? Because we are flexible. So with startups, you have to be flexible because they change so quick. We can deliver. We have IT capacities, so we can scale very fast with our customers, and simply we deliver quality. So nowadays it's always about quality and efficiency. It's not about price anymore. So. Yeah.
Thomas, you are now in Poland, and sometimes it's good to have a fresh view on something. I was impressed when we met recently that you already knew a lot about Poland, even before you came. So you were very well prepared, I think, but now you have been here for a while. What is your impression about mentality? How does it connect to the German market? Where would you recommend to take care about out of the perspective of a Central Eastern European company or person?
Yeah, what I immediately realized when I started, actually I started my work in May of this year, 1st of May, and it was during Corona. I planned it to be different. I took the decision to take over this role as MD for Poland in March, and it was 2 weeks before the pandemic led to a lockdown. So I started my new role completely virtual from my home office in Stuttgart. You can see that without technology, this wouldn't have worked. And what we see at the moment is that many customers and many companies, big companies and small companies, are viewing technology now in a different way. I've mentioned the level of maturity or the higher level of adoption of digital services in Germany than in Poland. But I see one thing which is quite similar at the moment. Technology is becoming a board level topic. more so in Poland at the moment, or with a higher dynamic maybe than in Germany, because in Germany it has been part of the digital transformation journey of each company anyway, but this is accelerating at a breathtaking speed right now in Poland. So we are really seeing that there's a high ambition to leverage the technology here in Poland, and there's equally a high ambition in German companies to be able and to enable their employees to work from home. Because we see that this trend to letting employees work from home will actually continue over the next couple of years. And this raises a lot of questions regarding how do I keep my workforce not only motivated, but how do I communicate effectively, and how can I maybe even raise the level of loyalty, as well as ensure that the level of efficiency does not go down, but maybe even goes up. So I think that also here there's a big potential in terms of finding the right digital services and adopting the right digital services to ensure that the fabric of an organization does not change, or maybe even can get better when nearly all of the workforce is working from home.
Oliver, getting back to your Dutch perspective on things. I mean, Germany is like a big steamship. Everything that changes like very slowly, normally. Not now, maybe, but you also have the experience in the Netherlands. And that's a country that has a reputation to move very, very quickly and to adapt very fast. So with your experience as a German, looking onto the German market out of a Western European country that is quite fast in acting, where do you see changes? And talking about your experience also with CEE companies, how can they settle in on that? Where do you see chances?
I think my experience is that it matters less and less where a company is. I see more and more, and especially I think with COVID times, what most companies have realized, and that's Thomas, where you're saying that technology has become a boardroom topic. I think it becomes a boardroom topic because more and more companies, regardless where they are, understand agility is driven by technology and data. And COVID has shown a lot of companies that they aren't agile enough, that they need to improve in their agility, and technology and data is driving that. And then again, what Arthur also said is, that you need to build trust and quality over time, trust over time through personal connection and quality that you deliver. And I think if as a CCE company coming to Western Europe, build a personal foundation. Absolutely, be there, see the people, maybe virtually, but have a good reason why to connect, why you're connecting, what is it that you're bringing to the table. And if you're only bringing to the table that you have an ambition to work in the market, be open and direct. But if you can invest into and focus on a certain industry, it is good to have a few first solutions ready on an area where you want to focus on. That gives tangibility, and that also shows that you have focus. Because I believe in Germany, I worked with some of the German retailers and through us, but also through other companies, and also in other industries. You see that people don't have the time to understand what could you be a good solution for. They want to have fast solutions now for problems they had yesterday. And that is if you have this mindset, I think regardless which market you are in, you quickly can make money.
An important issue always for Germans is trust. So, I mean, Artur is successful in Germany, but he also has an office in Berlin. Yeah. So, how important is it to have maybe some office or somebody who is representing the company in Germany? What do you think?
Well, our main office is in Poland, and honestly, we have built the office in Berlin to have more trust, yes, but nevertheless, we honestly do not use the office anymore. So I believe it doesn't matter so much. Next year, we are planning to build an office in Munich, but only with key accounts and salesperson. So the entire IT team will be still in Breslau or in entire Poland, because we are like 50-50 nowadays. And I believe if you have a high quality, if you have a good brand, if they trust you, they don't care whether you are from Berlin or from Warsaw or from Breslau anymore. So, and I think it's also related to the COVID. So, because many CTOs, many CEOs, they just realized that it doesn't matter anymore because everyone is working from home right now. So what the difference, whether I have people here in Berlin or in Breslau, if we still communicate via Slack, for example, yes. So, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe
we have clients in the sorry. We have clients in the SME field in Germany, and there are 100,000 companies with 1 million employees in the IT sector in Germany, and then you also have Austrian and Swiss companies. So, how important is language if you want to compete? Does it matter?
In IT, depends on the company, yes. So we are doing everything in English. And of course, there are some medium-sized companies, these hidden champions, Deutsche Mittelstand, which still want to communicate in German. But it's really extremely hard to find young, good developers who speak German in Poland. So
Oliver, you wanted to say something about it.
I think in business development, it's important to really connect in a language where both feel comfortable. And in German, a lot of German companies, if I talk about Audi, BMW, or if I talk about my previous company, it helps you. It's a if you can communicate well in German, especially with more senior levels. That is my experience. If you work in the more in the operational field where you have international developers from wherever they are, I think English is a given. It is not necessary. It's a The thing I wanted to say before, I think, with COVID and the personal relationship, I think it's not so much important to be there with the people at the table. I think it is more that you take time for your customer. And I think that is more important than being there. And then Arthur, I understand that you can work and be successful a lot from remote, but I think you take time for your customer. And that is what Germans, I think, and also Dutch companies and all the companies I work with, my customers as well, valued. That I take that extra mile to think with them, for them, and be prepared when I'm there.
Oh, definitely. So I'm more in Germany now than in Poland. Now I'm in Leipzig again. So it's so important to be there when they need you. So if they call you, you need to be there within 12 hours.
Thomas, if you were approached by a company from the CEE region with some service, let it open what it is. What would be the 2 or 3 main things you would look for, or what is important for you?
I think the value that should be added at the moment, because this is of highest relevancy, the value should be in the area of customer experience. So what value do these services bring in terms of a better understanding the shift in the customer buying behavior, in the shift of the customer buying or expectations as well. This is maybe the one side, and the other side is, I think, everything around artificial intelligence in the use of probably automation of processes. Because what companies are looking for at the moment is trying to get as much cash out of the business in order to invest into areas so that they can get closer to the market, so that they can get closer to their customers. So wherever I can add value in terms of automating processes, raising the efficiency, taking cash out of the enterprise and investing it, that would be the areas where I would be looking at.
Great. So we're approaching the end already. I have no questions in the chat, so we come to the final statements, and I would like to ask each of you to just in 15 seconds, 2 sentences, to say, so if you were starting on the German market right now, what would be the right things to do, or what would be the best way to approach Germany? Artur.
Yeah, try to build personal relations first.
Oliver?
Focus on a certain industry, focus on a certain area, problem, and have the right going in.
Thomas?
Yeah, I would copy what Oliver just said. It's important to get the message right for the industry, to understand who are the most important player in an industry, and to translate the value of your company to what they can achieve in terms of business outcome.
Thank you all very much. I hope it was an interesting talk for the people who visited and listened to us. I found it an interesting conversation. Thank you all for your inputs. And as I said, here are a couple of people who can help also entering the German market. If you need help, if you need partners, don't try to do everything alone. Get your advice to get the focus and to do the right things, set the right steps. So feel free to get in touch with all of us. Thank you very much for being here today, and see you.